Jack likes boobs. Jack cuts fans. Jack's got lots of fans.
Oh, man.
You shut up, man.
Yeah, man, that was a clip right now with our next guest. I was actually on the set of Four Brothers with this man.
Shut up.
I was actually on the set of Four Brothers with this man. He's trying to remember.
Brother.
Yeah, I'm the fifth brother. He's sitting there trying to remember, where did we see each other last? And I actually, for MTV, came to the set of Four Brothers. And, you know, Tyrese is somebody I grew up with. Yeah. You know, Terrence Howard is someone I've known for years.
And co-starred with.
And co-starred with. And
Man,
Empire.
what do you mean now?
Terrence, is that you?
Now, you're talking like we didn't grow up with each other, and we still don't contact each other every day.
Oh, shit. Whoa. Damn, man. I know the new season of Empire is coming up, man. Are you excited about that?
Man, more excited than ever. I mean, new season means new checks.
I love it.
No, I love Terrence, man. Terrence is, you know, he's family to me as well because we've done 3 films together, and especially back then when we were doing Four Brothers, like, you know.
He taught you the guitar, right? Did he?
Yeah, he was teaching me guitar.
Yeah.
And he was self-taught, and I mean, the guy's a genius, and we just sit back in the room and play chess and watch Richard Pryor and, you know.
And play chess. Wait, hold on. Let me introduce you, man. You got a litany of accomplishments in his career, DB.
Four Brothers. I mean, when he first moved to L.A., I believe it was a month later, he started in Troy. He hit a home run right off the bat. Yeah. Friday Night Lights. And, of course, one of my favorites.
Oh, he got the hat on. He's switching the hats.
Oh, yeah.
He got on his...
Tron Legacy. The hat's a little small. So
he's trying to get on the grid.
There it is, right?
There we go. Tron Legacy.
Now you're on the grid.
Sam Flynn, I'm on the grid. I didn't get my my light piece, though. So he's in this movie right now that... Any movie that starts and ends with a Metallica song is gets my stamp of approval. So I love the film. Triple Frontier. He plays Ben Miller. Please welcome Garrett Hedlund.
Hey, Garrett.
It's great to be here, guys.
So that's where we first met, when I did that coverage for Four Brothers.
You came to set, yeah.
Okay.
I was starstruck because I always watch you on MTV, and I think that was my 3rd film. You know, so I was starting out in. Only been acting for about 2 years, so I was watching you longer than, you know.
Yeah, so you hear that, Heather? He stunned it for me. He basically saying, you've been in the game longer than me. That's what he just said. That's a
Don't listen to that, Garrett. Don't listen to that.
I know we're not here to talk about Four Brothers. Would you still stay in touch with those guys at all?
Here and there we'll cross paths. I mean, Terrence and I keep in touch. Yeah, definitely. I saw Tyrese maybe like a year ago or some. Haven't seen Andre much, haven't seen Mark much, but you know, I still love them. I love them like brothers.
Yeah. Okay, no pun intended.
Yeah,
nobody got that.
Yeah, we got it.
Garrett, I'm glad you're here. There's a couple of things we want to get squared away. You were an athlete in high school, correct?
I was, correct.
Yeah. What kind of athlete were you? What were your sports? What were your?
I tried to do everything. I mean, where I grew up, being like a triathlete was a very common thing. Because it really kept you off the farm and you got to be in town a little more often.
Okay.
When I moved to Arizona, everybody, because the weather was, everybody focused on one thing. So, but I grew up, it was baseball, wrestling, football, play hockey when I could.
None of your sports, Sway.
But what you mean, baseball, football? I played
hockey, he mentioned.
I didn't play hockey. I didn't say hockey. Go ahead, Gary. Go ahead, man.
I mean, I did it as a hobby. I didn't,
But it still counts that you did it, right?
Yeah.
See, Heather, so I did it in high school.
And we did
too.
it in Four Brothers.
And it did in Four Brothers as well. So it's still, when I talk
Sway,
about
what 3 sports did you play?
Football. Basketball. I was a neighborhood, we had a neighborhood team that went around from neighborhood to neighborhood.
At a school, Sway, not.
And I ran track. I ran track all the way to college. That counts. Gary, does that not count?
Yeah.
That was
I ran
great.
cross country, but
Okay.
I was going to say you look like a fast runner.
Thank you, Garrett. My man. Get that man a round of applause, bro. You from Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. So we got Soundset coming up. You not familiar with Soundset?
Mm-hmm.
He's in Hollywood. He's in Hollywood, boy.
Okay. It's in Minneapolis. At the fairground. Rhyme sayers. Atmosphere.
I grew up. It would be a 7-hour drive to get to the town where I grew up in. It was 10 miles south of Canada.
Okay, give me that back, man.
I think I've been to Minneapolis besides the airport. I think I've walked in the city maybe twice in my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn, but why are we sad? Like, he's all right. He's in Hollywood.
It's
He's
all right.
He's winning right
But also,
now.
I mean, I moved to Arizona after I went to high school in Arizona. So if it's more justification that I'm not so familiar with a sound set, then you know.
Well, you are now. All right. Yeah. For Garrett, man. All right. DB saw the movie. I haven't had a chance to sit and expound on it yet. But DB, you gonna go?
If I would have known I had extra tickets,
they didn't tell me, man.
You just flew back.
I was in Vegas, so
Gotcha.
I didn't get I was gonna watch it this weekend, but I was in Vegas.
Nice.
Now let me ask you this. I know it's we were having this conversation about Netflix and the Oscars and Steven Spielberg. Because this is a Netflix film, saying that, you know,
Very Oscar worthy.
very Oscar worthy. That's what I was going to ask
Say
you, because I know he said that Netflix films
Should be taken out of consideration.
taken out of consideration. You know, how do you feel about that?
You know, we sort of dealt with this a lot last year with Mudbound. You know, I think you were saying Mary J. Blige was in here for that, and she's such a wonderful person. I was very proud of that film, and this conversation came up a lot, and you know, the only thing that I could sort of say about it is, you know, I think it's crazy because the streaming network and Netflix, like, if I would have had this growing up, man, it would have changed my life. I got to go to the movie theater 3 times because we live 25 miles outside of town, and you know, my dad's reasoning why, and us being, you know, farmers and stuff like that, he's like, you know, I got 3 kids, we're 25 miles, that's 50 miles round trip to take you to the theater, plus admission, plus if you guys want candy and such, that's this. Now, and there's many countries, cities, towns all over the world that can't get to a theater to see a film, and so that's why I think Netflix is great. And also, I just shot a film in northwestern Australia, in an Aboriginal village, and there's no theater whatsoever around. There's like, if you went to the local little mart that they had there, I mean, and this village was, you know, it was crazy. You could get like a maybe 1980s Steven Seagal DVD or something like that. But everybody was up to par on everything that's going on Netflix. You know, every show, every film, and I just thought it was wonderful to see. So, you know, that's what I have to say.
Yeah. So you disagree with Steven?
I don't know.
I'm not putting that down. Everybody has their own
I don't
opinion,
understand his
but
point. So why should they get rid of?
What was his point?
Well,
It
he
was-
said
it
it's
was
like, you know, the thing about traditional movies is you get this like motion picture theatrical experience when you're actually like within the theater. And you know, for many, when you're thinking about special effects, a lot of the things, especially for his type of movies, I say this going to the movie theater sometimes, I'm like, dang, like this is a completely different experience when the screen is huge and it's dark and there's no distractions, there's no pop-ups coming up on your computer.
Yeah, true.
But also the thing is, for independent film, you know, the length that they're able to stay in the theater is so minimal anyways, and they're so credible, and you know, the performances are amazing, and nobody gets to see them. And so, you know, that's the benefit of what Netflix is offering on this, especially for something like Mudbound. You know, the day it dropped, and this was something we're also proud about. Everybody worked hard. You know, Mary J got you know, huge acclaim for it. Dee Reese, it really skyrocketed her to the map, and she's such an auteur and such an amazing artist. And just the performances all around, Carrie, Jason Mitchell, Jason Clarke. The day it dropped on Netflix, I had friends in Australia and England, and friends back home, and you know, friends that don't even go to the movies anymore, calling me up, and friends that saw Mudbound, they saw that more than they've seen any other. I mean,
wow.
And they had
film
it,
that I've done.
it was accessible. And that was the one they watched the most out of any of them.
Yeah.
And what Stephen is saying is that, too, we're just trying to figure out what Netflix is in this moment, right? And so he's saying that this is shot essentially for television.
Okay.
And so if it's a movie for television, it should be considered for the Emmys. And so it should be an Emmy film and be nominated as a film for the Emmys. He's not saying it shouldn't be awarded. He's just saying where it should be classified as, because Netflix has other series. Well, they have TV series on there, TV specials, comedy specials. And so it really is this classification of what is Netflix when it comes to categorizing films and accreditations.
Oh, shit. Thanks, Mike Muse. You heard what he said, Garrett.
Yeah.
What Mike said. All right. So the Triple Frontier, what attracted you to this movie?
Honestly, J.C. Shandor, the director I've known for quite a few years, he called me up and said, I've been talking to Charlie Hunnam about playing a role in this. Would you read the script? Right now, the two of the main characters in it, out of the 5, are brothers, but I would gladly switch you and Charlie to play brothers. And Charlie and I have been best friends for 15 years.
Okay.
And then he said, and I'm going to talk to Oscar Isaac about playing, because they did A Most Violent Year together. And Oscar Isaac and I have done 3 films together. Or this is our 3rd. We did Inside Llewyn Davis with the Coen brothers. And so I was like, oh, man, to do a war film, running, gunning, and with 2 of my best friends, a director that I'm a big fan of. I mean, it's a no-brainer, you know. And also in terms of like the military and tactical stuff, I had a lot of that training from working on Ang Lee's film Billy Lynn. And, I thought, wouldn't be new territory jumping into those grounds in terms of the boot camp and stuff, because the one we went through on Billy Lynn was pretty hardcore. And so I just felt like, and then they said we're going to film in Hawaii, Bogota, Colombia, Sierra Nevadas. And, it was actually Oscar that was like, come on, G-Man, like, Hawaii. All of us get to, And
is that your Oscar right
Yeah.
there? That's your
Hey,
Oscar
come on,
Isaac
G-Man.
right there? You got a Terrence, you got an Oscar. What else you got?
Yeah, man.
Let me ask you.
You're wearing a John hat, huh?
Doing everybody.
I'm
I've never seen a robbery go so wrong in so many ways after watching this film. I mean, it's like almost like a what was it? Murphy's Law, where everything goes wrong just day after day after day. And so, what was the hardest scene to film? Because you guys are in all these different terrains. You're in the jungle. You're in the mountains. You're on the beach. You're in the ocean. I mean, which was the most difficult as far as terrain?
I think the Sierra Nevadas, the altitude there. Our base camp was set up at 11,000 feet. And, we'd have the Gators, quads, 4-wheelers, whatever you prefer, take us up like another 2,000 feet. And that's where our crew started. And, juggling the equipment all over the place, and all of us having to be, kind of running, gunning, essentially. That was the most difficult. And Bogota, Colombia, I think the main part of the city is at 11,000 feet. And so the altitude was a little more the adjustment in accordance to what we had to be physically doing.
What was the coffee like?
Had a kick.
Yeah, a kick?
Yeah.
A little spicy.
You've never seen a crew work as fast and efficient.
All right, we gonna open up these phone lines.
They're always chewing on this
Chewing on something, a little cocoa,
chewing on something, and
just. Yeah. All right, Garrett Hedlund is here. We're going to open up the phone lines. 888-742-3345. You want to talk to him, give us a call.
This is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, that was Triple Frontier. It's out Wednesday on Netflix. March 6th, streaming worldwide. March 13th. We got one of the stars here, Garrett Hedlund, is with us. We got Rod on the line from San Francisco. You want to talk with him, 888-742-3345. Rob, what up, baby?
Yo!
Give it up for Rod. Yo! Oh, shit, I didn't hit him. Hold on. Rod. Hey, Rod, what up, baby?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing okay, man.
what's happening?
Good. Good. Hey, I just had a question. You know, now knowing what you know in your career, is there anything you would have done different early on in your career, you know, with all the knowledge that you've gained in your career so far?
It's interesting. You know, I truly feel like there were certain films very early on that I was turning down for personal reasons, which maybe even at that time I didn't know, or maybe at that time I was too scared or shy. And my reps, my agents, managers would think I was crazy because, you know, they'd be big offers and stuff and big studio films. But for some reason, I didn't want to be in that spotlight. I didn't feel I was ready. There were people that were kind of just naturally gifted to sort of be out there and sort of, you know, just sort of speak and just like fill a room with their personality and win everybody over. And I wasn't there yet. And I felt like concentrating on the films that sort of really challenged me, roles that really sort of challenged me, working with new directors, learning new things, new tools, and constantly just trying to learn each step of the way because I didn't grow up in the industry whatsoever. So everything was kind of a learning curve. And then something maybe like around, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, a light kind of, you know, turned on. And I just felt this kind of confidence, not only with where I'd been, but my confidence to where I can now go with anything, that any role or any situation I was thrown into, that now I felt the confidence to challenge myself, but also be brave and fearless to, really kind of just not give a shit. And so for that, I don't think I'd change anything for that.
Amen.
You know, I might not be here if I didn't go the route I did.
Yeah, you know, and that I find that interesting too, because your Friday Night Lights, Troy, Four Brothers, Tron, Legacy, Country Strong, all these were all big movies. So what did you turn down?
There were, I mean, you know, when I signed on to Troy, Warner Brothers was offering me a 2-picture deal, which would have entailed, you know, something for 5 times the amount that I even made on Troy, to do something that was very commercial and something that was very cheesy.
I get it.
And would have put me in a huge, you know, much different spotlight.
Okay.
And so I asked to, when Friday Night Lights came up, I asked to be excused from that contract to get paid the same, if not less, than what I got paid on my first film, to be a part of Friday Night Lights, to play, you know, Dom Billingsley, which was a character that, you know, was a much more dramatic role, was a much more dramatic film, and turned out to be something that was kind of critically acclaimed and people are still talking about today. And so it's those kind of choices that, you know, that I was making.
Integrity, Heather. The man Garrett has integrity.
Love it.
Roles weren't right for him. He wasn't feeling it. So he did what most actors would never do in their wildest dreams, and turn down money.
Because the money's going to come back. We speak about this all the time.
If you got faith, he had faith in himself. Look at him now. That movie was 2004, and 15 years later, we're talking about his next movie. Integrity. DB, I'm sorry about that.
And I mean, you know, it's sad to say, but the one who actually did that role is nowhere to be seen right now, and so
shit.
You know,
good call. Do you play poker too? Damn. Good call. I won't even ask you who that person is or that movie, but I think the point is that you made a decision based on integrity. That always prevails in entertainment. You know, I appreciate that about you, my fourth brother. Yeah. All right, DB, you want to
Garrett, real quick, because the other part of Triple Frontier shows how the veterans come back and they really don't have anything to fall back on. Yeah. Financially, they're struggling. Sometimes they're struggling mentally. What did you take away from that point of it?
Well, I mean, you know, I've now played a lot of soldier roles, fortunately, and that was a big help within this film. You know, in Unbroken, I was a POW. In Billy Lynn was an Iraqi soldier in Mudbound, was a bomber pilot from World War II, and the film I did after that was a soldier returning from home. Long story short is, in terms of no typecasting, but it's just along the way I've met a lot of soldiers that have went through a lot of this. On some of these films, I've had military advisors that have been very influential. I've listened to their stories. I've heard about their tours, what they've seen, the journeys they've gone through, the pain that they've seen, and when they come home, seeing how they're treated and seeing how society accepts them back and the opportunities that they're given or not given. And in this film, these soldiers are not given, society's not giving them a break. And they see this as an opportunity to use their special skills that they've learned to rob this South American drug lord of millions of dollars, who's actually a very bad man, and to take him out of the equation, to also provide themselves with financial gain for themselves and their family because they felt life was unfair.
Garrett Hedlund, ladies and gentlemen. Unbroken was an incredible movie.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
Mosaic.
Incredible.
Yeah. It was actually, you know what, when you bring up Terrence, I did the Terrence impression for Steven Soderbergh when we were doing Mosaic, and he said the next thing he wants to do is Terrence interviewing Terrence. And Terrence thought that was an amazing idea.
Yeah, so that's coming next.
Yeah.
Yo, Gary, good to see you,
Netflix.
Man. On Netflix. Good to see you. The Triple Frontier. I'm not seeing select theaters on Netflix. It's on Wednesday, March 6th, and they'll be streaming worldwide on March 13th. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
Continue
As
success,
always.
man.